getting married is exciting. I mean, you created this new family union. I mean, and you and your husband are rocking it. But the truth of the matter is, marriage is not just about you and your husband or your husband-to-be. It's a family affair. Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Ayanna, and this is Beyond Committed, where we're taking everything from your faith to your family, relationships, motherhood, and everything in between and taking them beyond. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. And I know you won't be a stranger. And to make sure you press the subscribe button below and turn on the little bell so the notifications let you know the next time I upload a video. All right, now, ladies, let's dive right in. Let's be honest, you came into this relationship with your own parents and siblings and grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins and all these people who you have known and loved you for forever. And your husband comes in with all those people too. So it's so important that we're mindful of that and we find ways to make sure that your in-laws don't become your outlaws. Now, I know this is a lot easier said than done, so it's so important that you are intentional and you are mindful of, okay, this new relationship, these new family dynamics, and making sure that you don't put yourself on an island when you don't have to be. Now, with these 4 tips, you can make sure that your in-laws don't become outlaws. Okay, number 1, love your in-laws like you love your parents. I mean, okay, let me stop here. Everybody does not have the best relationship with their parents. I mean, so I can just be honest with that. I mean, I've had my own ups and downs, and we all have, especially as you mature and you grow and you get grown and you start feeling yourself in certain situations and, relationships. So it's so important that we're mindful of that, but making sure that we treat our in-laws with the same love, care, and respect that we would want our parents to be treated with. And you would be amazed how much a little love, care, and respect can go within building and maintaining a healthy and strong and loving relationship with your in-laws. Okay, number 2, make sure you set boundaries often and early. I mean, let's be honest, regardless of what relationship, even within your marriage, there's some lines that just should not be crossed. So within your relationship with your in-laws, it's something that you have to be so mindful of and to make sure that you create those boundaries with your husband. Sit down and be like, look, okay, what do you think is okay with family? What do you think is not okay? And make sure you set those lines early and make sure that both sets of in-laws understand those lines in a loving and kind way, but to make sure that no one's toes get stepped on inadvertently because nobody said anything. I mean, that's something that for my husband and I, we did early, especially when we started having kids, because our kids for his parents were the first grandchildren. So, I mean, they were spoiled rotten, and they're still a little spoiled now, if I can be honest. But there's always been a respect, and there's always been, okay, is this okay if we do this or go here or buy this, especially when it's like a really big gift, just to make sure that it's okay for us and that is something that, we want them to have or do or go, understanding that, there are kids and they're their grandparents, but there's, those boundaries in love and care that we set early that helps to make sure that those lines don't get crossed and no one's toes get stepped on. Number 3, make sure that you don't overshare. I mean, regardless of how much we love and care and get along with our in-laws, some things you can't forgive and forget. So it's so important that we just are clear to not overshare. Don't give too much intimate details about your marriage or things you don't want the world to know. Not that your in-laws are going to go share everywhere or tell anybody, but it's so important that you respect the relationship between you and your in-laws, but also respect the relationship between your husband and his parents. And there's some things that he may not want them to know, or some things he may not want your parents to know. So make sure you're mindful of that and caring and making sure that you set those boundaries you need and you're not oversharing, because some things you can't forgive and forget. Now, number 4, this one has saved my husband and I a lot of grief, has helped to minimize or alleviate or squash many disagreements or situations. And it is, whenever there's a situation or a problem or a disagreement or someone steps on somebody's toes, whatever the case may be, it's up to the spouse who is related to them to make sure they handle it and address it. For example, if I have a situation with my mother-in-law or my father-in-law or my brother-in-law or whatever the case may be, then it's up to my husband to handle it. So I bring my issue to him privately, not to the world or in the midst of the conflict or the situation. You bring your situation to your husband privately, explain what happened, who did what, where, how you feel, whatever the case may be, and give him the time and the space to handle it however he sees fit and in a way that you both agree. Because regardless of how long you've been together and how much you know about your in-laws or how loving and caring you are to them and treat them as parents, as your own siblings, as all of those things, I mean, the relationship is new. It's not, you haven't known them since birth like your husband has. So it's so important to just be mindful of that and still remember that regardless of how long you've been together, there's still some lines, there's still some divisions in there, and there's still some allegiances that are there that are just natural to being family, to being related. So it's so important that we remember that and making sure you don't stir up or cause any unnecessary conflict between you and your in-laws, and the same between your husband and your family. So that's why it's so important that whenever there's a problem, you make sure whoever's family that is, they handle it to make sure that they can unruffle any feathers and making sure that everything going forward would be okay and there's not any tension in the background if you can do anything about it. Because at the end of the day, marriage is truly a family affair. It's something that just does not happen. It's something that we have to work at and be intentional about. And it's something that we can do as wives to build those healthy, loving relationships, not just with our family, but with our in-laws as well, and ensuring that your in-laws don't become outlaws. Now, that's all for today. I hope these tips really helped you. They have made a world of difference for me and my husband in making sure that we have healthy, enjoyable, and amicable relationships with our in-laws. Because honestly, no, it has not always been smooth sailings. There has been some ups and downs, some bumps along the roads on both sides. But at the end of the day, we love each other enough to make sure that we're intentional, loving our families and loving them well as well. Now, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and don't forget to press the subscribe button below and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now, until next time,